dearly, but that's a fact, dearly, it's quite honorary, the train that we buy. Boy, let's be noted, since we were so noted to beauty devoted, Mama, go and buy. When boiling is breaking, our country goes waiting to keep there and waiting with bells we come, and come and be coming when we're going to
Simple rudeness. I'm not clever as water. plaza tall.
And the Countess Duchess too. And his Grace's daughter too.
And his Grace's private drum. To Venetia's shores have come. To Venetia's shores have come.
Back to Spain.
Neither that grandee from the Spanish shore, the noble Duke of Plaza Tor.
Oh, his Grace's Duchess smart and true. And his Grace's daughter too.
And his Grace's own particular drum. To Venetia's shores will come. To Venetia's shores will come.
Back to Spain.
At last we have arrived at our destination. This is the Ducal Palace, and it is here that the Grand Inquisitor resides. As a Castilian hidalgo of 95 quarterings, I regret that I am unable to pay my state visit on a horse. As a Castilian hidalgo of that description, I would prefer to ride through the streets of Venice, but owing, I presume, to an unusually wet season, the streets are in such condition that equestrian exercise is impossible. No matter. Where is our suite?
Your Grace, I am here.
You are so honoured to kneel when you address His Grace.
My love, it is so small a matter. Still, you might as well do it.
The young man seems to entertain an imperfect appreciation of the respect due from a menial to a Castilian hidalgo.
My child, you are hard upon our suite.
Papa, I have no patience with the presumption of persons in his plebeian position. If he does not appreciate that position, let him be whipped until he does.
Well, let us hope the omission was not intended as a slight. I should be much hurt if I thought it was. So would he. Where are the halberdiers who were to have had the honour of meeting us here, that our visit to the Grand Inquisitor might be made in becoming state?
Your Grace, the halberdiers are mercenary people who stipulated for a trifle on account.
How tiresome. Well, let us hope the Grand Inquisitor is a blind gentleman. And the band, who were to have had the honour of escorting us. I see no band.
Your Grace, the band are sordid persons who required payment in advance.
That's so like a band.
Insuperable difficulties meet me at every turn.
But surely they know His Grace.
Exactly. They know His Grace.
Oh, well, let us hope the Grand Inquisitor is a deaf gentleman. A cornet à piston would be something. You do not happen to possess the accomplishment of tootling like a cornet à piston?
Alas, no, Your Grace. But I can imitate a farmyard.
I don't see how that would help us. I don't see how we could bring it in.
It would not help us in the least. We are not a parcel of braziers come to market, dolt.
My child, our suite's feelings. Be so good as to ring the bell and inform the Grand Inquisitor that His Grace the Duke of Plaza Toro, Count Matadoro, Baron Picadoro,
And sweet.
and suite have arrived in Venice and seek
Desire?
Demand.
and demand an audience.
Your Grace has got to come up.
I felt sure of it. I felt sure of it. And now, my love, shall we tell her? I think so. And now, my love, prepare for a magnificent surprise. It is my agreeable duty to reveal to you a secret which should make you the happiest young lady in Venice.
A secret?
A secret which for state reasons it has been necessary to preserve for 20 years.
When you were a prattling babe of 6 months old, you were married by proxy to no less a personage than the infant son and heir of His Majesty the immeasurably wealthy King of Barataria.
Married? To the infant son of the King of Barataria? Was I consulted? Then it was a most unpardonable liberty.
Consider his extreme youth and forgive him. Shortly after the ceremony, that misguided monarch abandoned the creed of his forefathers and became a Wesleyan Methodist of the most bigoted and persecuting type. The Grand Inquisitor, determined that the innovation should not be perpetuated in Barataria, caused your smiling and unconscious husband to be stolen and transported to Venice. A fortnight since, the Methodist monarch and all his Wesleyan court were killed in an insurrection, and we are here to ascertain the whereabouts of your husband and to hail you, our daughter, as Her Majesty, the reigning Queen of Barataria.
Your Majesty.
It is at moments such as these that one feels how necessary it is to travel with a full band.
I, the Queen of Barataria, but I've nothing to wear but practically painless.
That point has not escaped me, although I am unhappily in straitened circumstances at present. My social influence is something enormous, and a company, to be called the Duke of Plaza Toro Limited, is in course of formation to work me. An influential directorate has been secured, and I shall myself join the board after allotment.
Am I to understand that the Queen of Barataria may be called upon at any time to witness her aunt's son in process of liquidation?
Speculation is not exempt from that drawback. If your father should stop, it will of course be necessary to wind him up.
But it's so undignified, it's so degrading. A grandee of Spain turned into a public company. Such a thing was never heard of.
My child, the Duke of Plaza Toro does not follow fashion. He leads them. He always leads everyone. When he was in the army, he led his regiment. He occasionally led them into action. He invariably led them out of it. He enterprise of martial time when there was any fighting. He led his regiment from behind. He found it best exciting. But when away his regiment ran, his place was at the fore. That celebrated, cultivated, underrated nobleman, the Duke of Plaza Toro. It was the foremost fighter of the always found that line. That celebrated, cultivated, underrated nobleman, the Duke of Plaza Toro. When to evade destruction's hand, to hide they all proceeded. No soldier in that gallant band hit half as well as he did. He lay concealed throughout the war, and so preserved his Toro. That unaffected, undetected, well-selected warrior, the Duke of Plaza Toro. He came without a day, he always took the lead. That unaffected, undetected, well-selected warrior, the Duke of Plaza Toro. When told that they would all be shot unless they left the service, our hero hesitated not, so marvellous his nerve is. He sent his resignation in, the first of all his tour. That very knowing, overflowing, easygoing paladin, the Duke of Plaza Toro. To men of verse and claim, he always showed the way. That very knowing, overflowing, easygoing paladin, the Duke of Plaza Toro. That very knowing, easygoing paladin, the Duke of Plaza Toro.
just learnt to my surprise and indignation that I was married in babyhood to the infant son of the King of Barataria.
The son? The King of Barataria? The child who was stolen in infancy by the Inquisition?
The same. But of course you know his story.
Know his story? Why? I've often told you my mother was the nurse to whose charge he was entrusted.
True, I had forgotten. Well, he has been discovered. My father has brought me here to claim his hand.
But surely you will not recognize this marriage. You were too young to understand its import.
Dear Louis, respect my principles and cease to torture me with vain entreaties. Henceforth, my life is another's.
But stay. The present and the future, they are another's. The past, at least that is ours, and none can take it from us, as we may revel in naught else. Let us revel in that.
I don't think I grasp your meaning.
But it is logical enough. You say you cease to love me.
I say I may not love you.
Ah, but you do not say you did not love me.
I loved you with a frenzy that words are powerless to express. And that but 10 brief minutes since.
Exactly. My own. My lately loved. That is, until 10 minutes since. My recently adored. Tell me that till, say, quarter of an hour ago, I was all in all to thee.
I see your idea, it's ingenious, but don't do that.
But there can be no harm in reveling in the past.
None whatsoever. But an embrace cannot be taken to act retrospectively.
Perhaps not. Ah, Casilda, you were to me as the sun is to the earth.
And now our love so full of life, but a silent, solemn memory.
Must it be so, Casilda?
True as it must be so.
There was a time forever gone, always be. It was not mine to love but thee alone, always be. One heart
allow me to present to you his distinction, Don Alhambra del Bolero, the Grand Inquisitor of Spain. It was his distinction who so thoughtfully abstracted your husband and brought him here to Venice.
So, this is the little lady who is so unexpectedly called upon to assume the functions of royalty. And a very nice little lady, too.
Jim, isn't she?
No, distinctly, Jim. Allow me. Naughty temper.
You must make some allowance. Her Majesty's head is a little turned by its access of dignity.
I could have wished that Her Majesty's access of dignity had turned it in this direction.
Unfortunately, if I am not mistaken, there appears to be some little doubt as to His Majesty's whereabouts.
Doubt as to his whereabouts, then we may yet be saved.
Doubt? Oh dear, no, no doubt at all. He's here in Venice plying the modest but picturesque calling of a gondolier. I can give you his address. I see him every day. In the entire annals of our history, there can be absolutely no circumstance so entirely free from all manner of doubt of any kind whatever. Listen, and I'll tell you all about it. I stole the prince and I brought him here, and I left him gaily prattling with a highly respectable gondolier who promised a royal babe to rear and teach him the trade of a time and here with his golden love and prattling. Both of the babes were strong and stout, considering all things clever, that there is no manner of doubt but probable possible shadow of doubt will possible doubt whatever.
No possible doubt whatever.
But owing I'm much disposed to fear to his clerical taste for tippling, that highly respectable gondolier could never declare with a mind sincere which of the two was his offspring dear and which the royal scribbling, which he could never make out despite his best endeavour, that there is no manner of doubt, no probable possible shadow of doubt, no possible doubt whatever.
No possible doubt whatever.
Instead, and when at the end of the year I sought that infant cherish, that highly respectable gondolier was lying at home on his humble bier, I dropped a grand inquisitor's tear. That gondolier had perished, a taste for him combined with doubt, doubled him up forever. That there is no manner of doubt, no probable possible shadow of doubt, no possible doubt whatever.
No possible doubt whatever.
Gilbert followed his old career, that staking can't be buried. A highly respectable gondolier, well, one of the two will soon be here. But which of the two it is not quite clear is the royal prince you married. So in and out and round about, you'll discover never. Tale so free from every doubt, or probable possible shadow of doubt, or possible doubt whatever.
Tale so free from every doubt, or probable possible shadow of doubt, or possible doubt whatever.
Without any doubt of any kind whatever. But be reassured, the nurse to whom your husband was entrusted is the mother of the musical young man that is such a past master of that delicately modulated instrument. She can, no doubt, confirm the king's identity beyond all question.
Heavens, how did he know that?
My young friend, a Grand Inquisitor is always up to date. His mother is at present the wife of an old established and highly respected brigand who carries on an extensive practice in the mountains around Cordova. Accompanied by two of my emissaries, he will set off for his mother's address. She will return with them, and if she finds any difficulty in making up her mind, the persuasive influence of the torture chamber will help to jog her memory.
But bless my heart, consider my position. I am the wife of one, that's very clear.
unseemly wrangle. Such complications frequently occur. Life is one closely complicated tangle. Death is the only true unravel.
Try me lifelong weak and never straight along my scandal stain. Why should we in vain endeavour guess again?
Life's a pudding full of plums.
Life's a pudding full of plums. Cares and canker that
lives are going to begin in real earnest. What's a bachelor? A mere nothing. He's a chrysalis. He can't be said to live. He exists.
What a delightful institution, marriage is. Why have we wasted all this time? Why didn't we marry 10 years ago?
Because you couldn't find anybody nice enough.
Because you were waiting for us.
I suppose that was the reason. We were waiting for you without knowing it. Hello.
Good morning.
If this gentleman's an undertaker, it's a bad omen.
A ceremony of some sort going on?
No, a little unimportant family gathering. Nothing in your line.
Somebody's birthday, I suppose.
Yes, mine.
And mine.
And mine.
And mine.
Curious coincidence. And how old may you all be?
It's a rude question. But about 10 minutes.
Remarkably fine children, but surely you are jesting.
In other words, we were married about 10 minutes since.
Married? You don't mean to say you're married?
Oh yes, we are married.
What, both of you?
All four of us!
Bless my heart, how extremely awkward.
You don't mind, I suppose.
You were not thinking of either of us for yourself, I presume. Oh, Giuseppe, look at him, he was. He's heartbroken.
No, I wasn't.
And now, my man, if your curiosity is satisfied, you can go.
You mustn't call me your man. It's a liberty. I don't think you know who I am.
Not we indeed. We are jolly Gondoliers, the sons of Baptisto Palmieri, who led the last revolution. Republicans, heart and soul, we hold all men to be equal. As we abhor oppression, we abhor kings. As we detest vainglory, we detest rank. As we despise effeminacy, we despise wealth. We are Venetian Gondoliers, your equal in everything except our calling, and in that, at once your master and your son.
One of you may well be Baptisto's son for anything I know to the contrary, but the other is no less a personage than the only son of the late King of Barataria.
What?
And I trust it was that one who slapped me on the shoulder and called me his man.
But which is it?
What does it matter? As you are both Republicans and hold kings in detestation, of course you will abdicate at once. Good morning.
Oh, don't do that.
Well, as to that, there are kings and kings. When I say that I detest kings, I mean I detest bad kings.
I see. It's a delicate distinction.
Quite so. Now, I can conceive a kind of king, an ideal king, a creature of my fancy, you know, who would be absolutely unobjectionable. A king, for instance, who would abolish taxes and make everything cheap, except gondolas.
And give a great many free entertainment to the gondoliers.
And let off fireworks on the Grand Canal, and engage all the gondolas for the occasion.
And scramble money on the Rialto among the gondoliers.
Such a king would be a blessing to his people, and if I were a king, that's the sort of king that I would be.
And so would I.
Come, I'm glad to find that your objections are not insuperable.
Oh, they're not insuperable.
No, they're not insuperable.
Besides, we are open to conviction.
Yes, they are open to conviction.
Oh, they've often been convicted.
Our views may have been hastily formed on insufficient grounds. They may be cruel, ill-digested, erroneous. Besides, I have a very poor opinion of a politician who isn't open to conviction.
Oh, he's a fine fellow.
Yes, that's the sort of politician for my money.
Then we'll consider it settled. Now, as the country is in a state of insurrection, it is absolutely necessary that you should assume the reins of government at once. And until it is ascertained which of you is to be king, I have arranged that you will reign jointly, so that no question can arise hereafter as to the validity of any of your acts.
As one individual.
As one individual?
Like this?
Something like that.
And may we take our friend with it and give them places about the court?
Of course, that's always done.
I'm going.
So am I.
Then the sooner we're off, the better. We'll just run home and pack up a few things.
Stop! Stop! That won't do at all. Ladies are not admitted.
What?
Not admitted. Not at present. Afterwards, perhaps, we'll see.
Why, you don't mean to say you're going to separate us from our wives?
This is very awkward, only for a time. A few months, after all. What is a few months?
But we've only been married half an hour.
I saw you pull out of the heart, how life's to come from those to whom an errand would be united. Before a flowing hopes you step, a look at them and pause before you kneel this love uninvited. You men can never understand that heart and hand cannot be separated when we go yearning. You see love in those eyes, you are your light, and only it is for men to set you burning. You men will never understand that woman's heart is one with woman's Some kind of charm you seem to find in womankind, some sense of unexplained delight, unless you're jesting. But what attracts you, I confess, I cannot guess. To me a woman's face is quite uninteresting. If from my sister I were told it could be gone, I should no doubt be horrified, but I could bear it. But that he is my king, he has my heart, and none beside shall ever share it.
Do not give way to this uncalled for grief. Your separation will be very brief. To ascertain which is the king and which the other, the Baritanius court and bring his foster mother, her former nursling to declare she'll be delighted. That's settled. Let each happy pair be reunited.
Viva! Viva, it went strong! Viva! We'll not be parted long! Viva! It will be settled soon! Viva! There comes the honeymoon! Viva! Viva! Viva!
Then one of us will be a queen, a saint,
cage and pair with the king on the left-hand side, and a milk-white horse and a matter of course whenever she wanted to ride, with beautiful silver shoes to wear upon her dainty feet, and endless stuff of beautiful clogs, and as much as she wanted to eat. Oh, dear, be a regular wild queen.
Whenever she condescends to walk, be sure she'll shine at that. With a haughty stare and a leafy air, well on as a rat. At any high society talk, she'll bear with will. With her how do you, and her how do you, and I trust I see you well.
And noble lords will scrape and bow and double themselves in two, and open their eyes in blank surprise at whatever she likes to do. And everybody will roundly bow, she's fair as flowers in May, and say,
Oh, clever.
that whatsoever she condescends to say,
Wherever they go. equality, of happiness for life, for democracy, for quality that's right for to kings of undue pride bereft, who act in perfect unity, whom you can order right and left with absolute impunity, who put their subjects at their ease by doing all they can to please. And loves to wonder great sees every opportunity. And loves to wonder great sees every opportunity. Oh, we act in perfect unity. Oh, we act in perfect unity. Of happiness the very will humanitarian unity, of all freedom's temper Gentlemen, we are much obliged to you for these expressions of satisfaction and good feeling. I say, we are much obliged to you for these expressions of satisfaction and good feeling.
We heard you.
At the same time, we are delighted to fall in line with sentiments so charmingly expressed.
That's all right. At the same time, there's just one little grievance that we should like to ventilate.
What?
Don't be alarmed, it's not serious. It is arranged that until it is decided which of us is the actual king, that we are to act as one person.
Exactly.
Now, although we act as one person, we are in point of fact two persons.
Ah, I don't think we can go into that. It is a legal fiction, and legal fictions are solemn things. Situated as we are, we can't recognise two independent responsibilities.
No, but you can recognise two independent appetites. It's all very well to say we act as one person, but when you supply us with only one ration between us, I should say that's a legal fiction carried a little too far.
It's rather a nice point. I don't like to express an opinion offhand. Suppose we reserve it for argument before the full court?
Yes, but what are we supposed to do in the meantime?
We want our tea!
I think we may make an interim order for double rations on their Majesties entering into the usual undertaking to indemnify in the event of an adverse decision.
And I think we'll meet the case. But you must work hard. Stick to it. Nothing like work.
Oh, certainly. We quite understand the man who holds the inestimable privilege of being king should do something to justify it. We are called Your Majesty. We're allowed to buy ourselves magnificent clothes. Our subjects frequently knock to us in the streets, and the sentries always return our salutes. And we hold the inestimable privilege of heading the subscription list to all the principal charities. In return for these advantages, the least we can do is make ourselves useful about the palace. Rising early in the morning, we proceed to light the fire. Then our Majesty's adorning in its work-a-day attire, we embark without delay on the duties of the day. First we polish off some batches of political dispatches and foreign politicians circumvent. Then if business isn't heavy, we may hold a royal levy or ratify some act of parliament. Then we probably review the House of Troops with the usual shower huts and books, or receive ceremonial estates and interesting Eastern potentate. After that we generally go into the rest so Parliament's duty is a dirty little man. Threats and letters literary for a private secretary. He's shaking his spelling so we haven't been prepared. Then in view of greetings, we go down and order dinner. Then we polish the regalia and the coronation plates. Spend an hour in titivating all our gentlemen in greeting, while we run on little errands for our ministers of state. Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of the king, yet the duties are delightful and the privilege is great. But the privilege and pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is to run on little errands for our ministers of state. Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of the king, and the duties are delightful and the privilege is great. But the privilege and pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is to run on little errands for the ministers of state. After lunch, making merry on a bun and glass of sherry, if it nothing in particular to do. We may make a proclamation or receive a deputation, then we possibly create a peer or two. Then we help a fellow creature on his path with a garter or with pistol or bar. Or we dress in total of his semi-state to a festival, a function, or a fete. Then we go and stand on sentry at the palace by the tent, marching with up and down and trunk down, while the warrior of shooting of his soldier being a beauty, and it generally happens that we haven't far to go. He relieves us if he's able, just in time to lay the table. Then we dine and serve a coffee and at 12:30 or 1. With a pleasure that's synthetic, we retire to our attic with the gratifying feeling that our duty has been done. Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of the king, but the pleasures there are many and the worries there are none, and the culminating pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is a gratifying feeling that our duty has been done. Oh, philosophers may sing of the troubles of the king, but the pleasures there are many and the worries there are none, and the culminating pleasure that we treasure beyond measure is a gratifying feeling that our duty has been done. Yes, it really is a very pleasant existence. They're also singularly kind and considerate. You don't find them wanting to do this, or wanting to do that, or saying, it's my turn now. No, they let us have all the fun to ourselves, and never seem to grudge it.
It makes one feel quite selfish. It's almost like taking advantage of their good nature.
How kind they were about the double rations.
Most considerate. There's only one thing wanting to make us thoroughly comfortable.
And that is?
Why, the dear little wives we left behind 3 months ago.
Yes, it is dull without female society. We can manage without everything else, but we can't manage without that.
And if we have that imperfection, we have everything. There's only one recipe for perfect happiness. Take a pair of sparkling eyes hidden ever under non multi-folding cleaves. Do not heed their mild surprise, having passed the Rubicon. Take a pair of rosy leaves. Take a peak at trimly planned, such as admiration went. It's a keep you on yeast. Take a tender little hand, with dainty fingeret. Press it, in parenthesis.
days crawled by and you never wrote. So at last I said to Gianetta, I can't stand this any longer. Those two poor munnets haven't got anyone to mend their stockings or sew on their buttons or patch their clothes. At least I hope they haven't. Let's all pack up a change and go and see how they're getting on. And she said done, and they all said done. And we asked old Jacopo to lend us his boat, and he said done. And we've crossed the sea. Thank goodness that's done. And here we are, and I've done.
And now, which of you is king?
And which of us is queen?
That we shan't know until nurse turns up. But never mind that. The question is, how shall we celebrate the commencement of our honeymoon? Gentlemen, will you allow us to offer you a magnificent banquet?
We will.
Thank you very much. And ladies, what would you say to a dance?
A banquet after dance? Oh, it's too much happiness!
Fancy ball. No, a little friendly dance, that's all. Sorry you're late.
But I saw a groom dancing and a footman.
Yes, that's a Lord High Footman.
Dear me, a common little drummer boy.
That's the Lord High Drummer Boy.
But surely the servants' hall is the place for these gentry.
Oh dear me, no. We have appropriated the servants' hall. It's the royal apartment and attainable only by ticket obtainable at the Lord Chamberlain's office.
We really must have some place that we can call our own.
I'm afraid I'm not quite equal to the intellectual pressure of the conversation.
You see, the monarchy has been remodelled on republican principles. All departments rank equal, and everyone is at the head of his own department.
I see.
I'm afraid you're annoyed.
No, I won't say that. It's not quite what I expected.
I'm very sorry.
So am I.
By the by, can I offer anything after your voyage? A plate of macaroni and a rusk.
No, nothing.
Obliged to be careful.
Yes, gout. You see, in all courts there are distinctions that must be observed.
There are there?
Why, of course. For instance, you wouldn't find a Lord High Chancellor playing leapfrog with his own cook.
Why not?
Why not? Because a Lord High Chancellor is a personage of great dignity who should never, under any circumstances, place himself in the position of being told to tuck in his tuppenny, except by a nobleman of his own rank. A Lord High Archbishop for instance, may tell a Lord High Chancellor to tuck in his tuppenny, but certainly not a cook, gentlemen, certainly not a cook.
Not even a Lord High Cook?
My friend, that is a rank that is not recognised at the Lord Chamberlain's office. No, no, it won't do. I'll tell you of an instance in which the experiment was tried. There lived a king, as I've been told, in the wonder-working days of old, when pots were twice as good as gold, and 20 times as mellow. Temper triumphed in his face, and in his heart he found a place for all the erring human race, and every wretched fellow. When he had reddish wine to drink, it made him very sad to think that some junket poor and weak must be content with toddy. He wished all men as rich as he, and he was rich as rich could be. So to the top of every tree, from low to everybody.
Now that's the kind of king for me, he wished all men as rich as he. So to the top of every tree, from low to everybody.
Lord Chancellors were cheap as sprats, and bishops in their shower hats were plentiful as tabby cats, in point of fact too many. And ambassadors dropped out like paint, like ministers and such as me, like asparagus in them, and dukes were 3 a penny. On every side we bargained, for there were lords left dead. With admirals the ocean team, all round his right the winger. And party leaders you might meet in 2s and 3s in every street, maintaining with political heat their various opinions.
Our work society could have been 2 party leaders in your street, maintaining with political heat their various opinions.
That king, although no one denies, his heart was of abnormal size. If he'd have acted otherwise, if he'd have been a cuter, the end is easily foretold, when every blessed thing you hold is made of silver or of gold. You long for simple pewter, when you have nothing else to wear but cloth of gold and satin wrap. For cloth or gold you cease to care, up goes the price of body. In short, whoever you may be, to this conclusion you'll agree. When everyone is somebody, then no one's anybody.
Now that's plain and straight, and we to this conclusion we agree. When everyone is somebody, then no one's anybody.
And now I have some important news to communicate. His Grace the Duke of Toro, Her Grace the Duchess, and their beautiful daughter Casilda. I say their beautiful daughter Casilda.
We heard you.
They have arrived at Beritaria and may be here at any moment.
The Duke and Duchess are nothing to us.
But the daughter, the beautiful daughter. Oh, you're a lucky dog, one of you.
I think you're a very incomprehensible old gentleman.
Not a bit. I'll explain. Many years ago, when you, whichever you are, were a baby, you, whichever you are, were married to a little girl who has grown up to be the most beautiful young lady in Spain. That beautiful young lady will be here to claim you, whichever you are, in half an hour, and I congratulate that one, whichever it is, with all my heart.
Married when a baby?
But we were married 3 months ago.
One of you. The other, whichever it is, is an unintentional bigamist.
Well, upon my word!
Who are these young persons?
Who are we? Why, their wives, of course. We've just arrived.
Their wives? Dear, this complicates matters. Tell me how very awkward. Goodness gracious, what will Her Majesty say?
And do you mean to say that one of these monarchs was already married?
And that neither of us will be a queen.
That is the idea I intended to convey.
Oh.
Tessa, my dear child.
Get away! Perhaps it's you!
My poor little woman.
Don't! Who knows whose husband you are?
And pray, why didn't you tell us all about it before they left Venice?
Because if I had, no earthly temptation would have induced these two gentlemen to leave two such extremely fascinating and utterly irresistible little ladies.
There's something in that.
I may add that you will not be kept long in suspense, as the old lady who nursed the royal child is at present in the torture chamber, waiting for me to interview her.
Poor old girl. Hadn't you better go and put her out of her suspense?
Oh, no, there's no hurry. She's all right. She has all the illustrated papers. Still, I will go and interrogate her. But in the meantime, may I suggest the absolute propriety of you considering yourselves as single young ladies. Good evening.
Here's a pleasant state of things.
Delightful. One of us is married to two young ladies and nobody knows which. And the other is married to one young lady whom nobody can identify.
One of us is married to one of you, and the other is married to nobody.
But which of you is married to which of us, and what's to become of the other?
It's quite simple. Observe. Two husbands have managed to acquire three wives. That's two husbands, three wives. That's 2/3 of a husband to each wife.
Oh, Mount Vesuvius, here we are in arithmetic. My good sir, one can't marry a vulgar fraction.
You've no right to call me a vulgar fraction.
We are getting rather late. The situation is becoming entangled. Let's try and comb it out.
She's a silly, still she answers pretty well.
Now when we were pretty baby, someone married us, that's clear.
And the American contract insurance contract sent them away with a fee.
Evil that young lady has to receive what can't refuse.
If I have to do it, I want you. I'll teach it as well as a man of my heart. If she marries us, I hope you're a princess. No, I don't know what if I have to do it, I want you. I'll teach it as well as a man of my heart. If I have to do it, I want you.
She is what is love,
Teach one, 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 teach one.
Light attention touches heart of Duke,
and heart of Duchess, for his
with profound regret.
Sheer beauty was a model.
When a tiny tittle toddle, and at 21
She's excelled.
at 21
She's excelled. At
21. Be good enough to inform His Majesty that His Grace, the Duke of Plaza Toro Limited, has arrived and begs
Desires?
Demands.
and demands an audience. And now, my child, prepare to receive the husband whom you united in such interesting and romantic circumstances.
But which is it? There are two of them.
It is true that at present His Majesty is a double gentleman, but as soon as the circumstances of his marriage can be ascertained, he will ipso facto boil down to a single gentleman, thus providing a unique example of an individual who becomes a single man and a married man by the same operation.
I have known instances in which the characteristics of both conditions existed concurrently in the same individual.
He couldn't have been a Plaza Toro.
Oh, couldn't he, though?
Well, whatever happens, I will of course be a dutiful wife. But I can never love my husband.
Oh, I don't know. It's extraordinary what unprepossessing people one can love if one puts one's mind to it.
I loved your father.
Oh dear, that remark was a little hard, I think. Rather cruel, perhaps. Somewhat uncalled for, I venture to believe.
It was very difficult, my dear. But I said to myself, that man is a duke, and I will love him. Several of my relations better me I couldn't. But I did, desperately. On the day when I was wedded to your mother-in-law, I acknowledged the taking red of an explosion on his heart. I was overcome with panic, for his temper was mechanic, and I didn't dare to vote, for I feared a golden vote. I was always very wary, for his fury was ecstatic, which behind the popularity was near front to knock under on his daughter. I knocked under like water. When intently he was fuming, I was gently unassuming. When we finally completely, I was smiling very sweetly. I was smiling very sweetly, very sweetly. When the very was pointing back the very was, that is how I tried to tell you, but when it turned west, giving him the very best, hitting back the very worst, that is how I tried to tell you, he did it But I found the tarried lines on the little internet, and the resolute eyes on the little internet, and the gentle intimation of my full determination to see what I can do to be wife and husband too. Why, the only thing required how to make his temper soft, and to put it on his side and always think and a brilliant. We were going. When I nearly broken-hearted, we were nearly broken-hearted. When he secretly united, we were equally delighted. We were equally delighted. So we loved
nobleman shady who is blazing in the lustre of unaccustomed pocket money, a nobleman shady who can look back upon 95 quarterings. It is not every nobleman who is 95 quarters in arrears, I mean, who can look back on 95 of them, and this, just as I have been floated at a premium. Oh, fie!
Your Majesty is surely unaware that directly your Majesty's father came before the public, he was applied for over and over again.
My dear, Her Majesty's father was in the habit of being applied for over and over again, and very urgently applied for too, long before he was registered under the Limited Liability Act. To help unhappy commoners and add to their enjoyment, affords a man of noble rank congenial employment. Of our attempts we offer you examples illustrative. The work is light, and I might add, it's most remunerative. Small titles and orders for mayors and recorders I get, and they're highly delighted.
They're highly delighted.
MPs baroneted, shank colonels gazetted, and second-rate aldermen knighted.
Yes, aldermen knighted.
Foundation stone laying I find very paying. It adds a large sum to my makings.
Large sum to his makings.
At charity dinners, the best of speech spinners, I get 10% of the takings.
1/10 of the takings. I present any makings on any shadings, smacking of doubtful propriety.
Doubtful propriety.
When virgin blush I take my blush, and water in first-rate society.
First-rate society.
When makers of clumsy dressmakers, their bitter finishing touches.
Their finishing touches.
I saw their audition, to say they make for the Duchess.
They make for the Duchess. Those pressing purveyors, the ready-made tailors, quote me as their great double barrel.
Their great double barrel.
I allow them to do so, though Robinson Crusoe would jib at their wearing apparel.
Such wearing apparel.
I sit by selection upon the direction of several companies' bubble. As soon as they're floated, I'm freely banknoted. I'm pretty well paid for my trouble.
He's paid for his trouble. At midnight's party, I'm paid for casting. I'm by means a beginner.
She's not a beginner.
To one of my station, remuneration, my meals a night and my dinner.
And wine with her dinner.
My letters related on medicines plated, and use any other goodness.
Really, you mustn't.
And how my complexion divides the affection from somebody so that it does.
It certainly doesn't. We're ready as witness to anyone's fitness to fill any place or preferment.
A place of preferment. We're often in waiting at junket or waiting, and sometimes a tender interment.
We enjoy an interment. In short, give the marvelous thing, the secret and courteous, or who's the debtor who cannot do better? A duke or a duchess. Are their majesties, your majesty?
The Duke of Prasetoro, I believe.
The same. Allow me to present.
The young lady one of us married?
I'm the most obedient servant of one of you.
I am now about to address myself to the gentleman whom my daughter married. The other may allow his attention to wander if he likes, for what I am about to say does not concern him. Sir, You will find in this young lady a combination of excellencies which you would look for in vain in any young lady who had not the good fortune to be my daughter. There seems to be some little doubt as to which is the gentleman I am addressing and which is the gentleman who is allowing his attention to wander. But as soon as that doubt is solved, I shall say, still addressing the attentive gentleman, take her, and may she make you happier than her mother has made me. If possible. And now there is a little matter about which I think I am entitled to take some exception. I come here in state with her Grace the Duchess and her Majesty my daughter. And what do I find? Do I find, for example, a guard of honor to receive me? No. No. The town illuminated? No. No. A refreshment provided? No. No. A royal salute fired? No. No. Triumphal arches erected? No. No. The bells set ringing? No. Yes, one. The visitors, and I rang it myself. It is not enough. It is not enough.
Upon my honour, I'm very sorry, but you see, I was brought up in a gondola, and my idea of politeness is confined to taking my cap off to my passengers when they, tip me.
That's all very well in its way, but it is not enough.
I'll take anything else off the king.
But a royal salute to my daughter, it costs so little.
But I don't want a royal salute.
My good sir, as soon as we find out which of us is entitled to take that liberty, she shall have as many salutes as she wishes.
Mwah! As for guards of honor and triumphal arches, you don't know our people. They wouldn't stand for it.
They're very offhand with us, very offhand indeed.
You mustn't allow that. You must keep them in proper discipline. You must impress your cause with your importance. You want deportment, carriage.
We've got a carriage.
Manner, dignity. There must be a good deal of this sort of thing. A little of this sort of thing. Perhaps a soupçon of this sort of thing. See you. Mwah, 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 mwah.
See you. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Very useful and most effective. Now attend to me. You are a king. I am a subject. Very good. I am a courtier grave and serious, who is about to kiss your hand. Try to combine a pose imperious with a demeanor nobly bland. Let us combine a pose imperious with a demeanor nobly bland. That's, if anything, too unbending, too aggressively stiff and grand. Now to the other extreme you're tending, don't be so too condescending.
The old birds have left the young chickens together. That's called tact.
It's extremely awkward. We really ought to explain to her how we are situated. It's not fair to the girl.
Then, why don't you do it?
I'd rather not. You.
Madam, we, that is several of us.
Gentlemen, I am bound to listen to you, but it's only right to tell you that, not knowing I was married in infancy, I am over head and ears in love with somebody else.
Our case exactly. We are head and ears in love with someone else, in point of fact, with our wives.
Your wives? Then you are married.
It's not our fault. We knew nothing about it. We are sisters of misfortune.
Girls, I don't blame you. Only before we go any further, we must come to some satisfactory arrangement, or we shall get hopelessly complicated.
Here's a case of precedented tyranny, where the sword and its time was first invented. Never was known a case for law. I never said to have been bisected by profound catastrophe. I never said to have been bisected.
as prudent, so I understand. Dictated, tated, tated.
Thank you.
Thank you.